Hello, my fellow techies. We're going to be making a virtual environment in Python today. Let's get to it. Okay, so long story short, why do we care about virtual environments? Basically, we're just setting up exactly what it sounds like, an environment for a given project that we want to work on. And we don't want to care about different dependencies and all that kind of jazz. So let's assume we had two different projects or five, however many you want to say. We're going to say two for simplicity's sake. If you have two different projects that use the same modules, let's say Django, you're using two different Django projects, and one of them is using Django 2 and another is using Django 3. Well, you don't want to have to switch back and forth every single time you want to work on a different project. And let's say you had 10 different modules that are shared across these two projects that are different versions. That just becomes such a pain to keep track of. You don't want to do that. You just want to be able to activate your environment, work on your code, and be on your merry way. So that's what a virtual environment is good for. And when we do this, I'm going to show you two ways. The first way I'm going to show you is the built-in way in Python. And Python has this built-in module called venv, which is short for virtual environment. And the way we use it is we specify the Python type we want. I'm going to use Python3. Hopefully you're using Python3 as well. Then we say -m for module. We're going to be accessing a specific Python3 module. And in this case, we're using the venv module. And then we want to say, what name do we want to give our virtual environment? Well, in this case, typically people name it venv. Let's assume we're making a to-do list app and we want to call our virtual environment to do. So we run that command, python3-m venv to do. And then from there, I'm in the tutorial folder. So coming over here, we now see that this folder was created. And if we look at what is in this virtual environment, we have a config folder, lib, include, bin. And if we come into bin, we see this file right here called activate. So this is important because this is actually how we work on our virtual environment. So right now, if I were to do Python -- version, it says that my Python version is 2.7.16. But I can do source venv. Why is that not coming up? Hold on. To do. Oh, I was trying to source venv because I'm so used to naming mine venv. So source to do bin activate. And now we'll see we get this little tidbit over here to do in parentheses. And this means we are now working in our virtual environment. Another way we can test it is like we'd done before. We did our Python version up here. We can now do the same thing again. Python -- version. And now we see Python is actually using 3.9.5 as the default because, remember, we made this virtual environment using Python 3. So this virtual environment has Python 3 installed, not Python 2. And now what we can do is we can install any dependency we want. So we said Django. We can do pip install Django. And this will install Django onto our virtual environment. This will tell us that pip needs to be installed. I normally see this when I create a new virtual environment, so we'll do that for fun. Pip install -- upgrade pip. Cool. So we've done that. We have covered the first way to create a virtual environment, how to work in a virtual environment. The last thing I guess we should do, let me clear this out real quick, is if we wanted to exit, the command for that is deactivate. And now we notice that to do in parentheses disappears, and we are outside of that virtual environment now. So what is the second way? The second way, in my opinion, is a little cleaner. And the reason why is we noticed that when we created that virtual environment the first time using the built-in venv module, it created a folder right where we were. We were in the tutorial folder, and it created a file, a folder right in that tutorial folder. If we did ls, we see that that is where our virtual environment is. Now, the second way I'm going to show you is going to create when you create a virtual environment, it creates it in a shared location. So all of your virtual environments will be in one place instead of directly where you create them, which you can do that. With the venv module, it's not as clean cut. You'll see why. So the module that we want to use is called virtualenvwrapper. So virtualenvwrapper. And what we can do is we can do pip install virtualenvwrapper. That will install. Cool. So that's done. And then we can try to use this. It'll tell us that we can't at first, but it'll say the command is make virtualenv and then the name of our virtualenv. So we'll call it to do again. Command not found. The reason why is because we have to source a file. So we can say which virtualenvwrapper.sh. So this will tell us where this file was created. This file was just created when we did pip install virtualenvwrapper. This is one of those things where I don't know why this module is not more intuitive. I had to do a decent amount of research to figure this out, but we figured we know where this is. And then what we have to do is we have to source it. So we do that. And then it'll say, oh, one more step we need to do. Again, I really think this should be more intuitive because when this is set up, it runs so much smoother. So what we have to do is we have to set a command line variable called virtualenvwrapper_python. So we'll do export virtualenvwrapper_python equals Python3. And now if we try that source command again, it'll work. So if we then come back up and do make virtualenv to do, now it creates no module named virtualenvwrapper. There definitely should be. Pip install. Let's try it again. Pip install virtualenvwrapper. Okay. Make virtualenv to do. Okay. That was weird. I don't know why it said it didn't exist right after we installed it, but just running that pip install again seemed to work. Again, the setup on this is not super clear, but when it works, it is much better in my opinion. Okay, so this is set up. It actually automatically activated our environment for us. And we'll notice if we do ls, to do is still here, but this is the to do from the venv module. So watch this. If we do deactivate and we do sudo remove to do, so this is just deleting that first virtual environment that we had, right? We do ls, we see that it's gone. We come back over to our folder, we see that that virtual environment got deleted. If we do work on to do, we get our virtual environment. That's because we're not accessing to do from where we are right now. This is actually coming from a folder called virtualenvs, which is in the home directory. And that's what that little squiggle in the front means. It means home directory and then slash .virtualenvs. So if I were to go here and then I were to do an ls command, we see the virtual environments that I already have. So this is just a cleaner way, in my opinion, to have all of your virtual environments stored in one place. And then cd dash. Okay, now we're back here. That's gone. We can do deactivate to get out of here. There is, again, one more weird thing about the setup for the virtualenvwrapper module. If that's what you want to go with, then if I were to open a new tab, let me make this bigger again so you can read it. It's about the same size. If I were to come back here and I were to try to do that same command, work on to do, it's going to say not found, because remember those two commands we ran earlier, that source virtualenvwrapper.sh command, and then we also had the export virtualenvwrapper_python command. Well, we actually need to run those every time we have a new tab or a new terminal session. So if you're on Mac, what you can do is you can do nano home directory and then zshrc, and you'll get this file. Nano is a text editor. I already put it in here, so I'll just delete this. I'll just delete my comments. And this will then run these commands every time you start up a new session. Export virtualenvwrapper Python, source virtualenvwrapper.sh, and then I can do source zsh, and source is just going to activate our changes. It's going to make our changes that we just made readily available. So now if I open a new tab, make that bigger again, and I try that work on to do, now it's going to work. I have base in here. That's a different thing. Let me do conda deactivate. Okay. But yeah, a little bit more setup. I like the virtualenvwrapper module more when it's already set up, but Python has a built-in way to do it if you're, looking for something a little more simple in the beginning. And this has been a tutorial on how to set up virtual environments in Python. Let me know in the comments if there's anything that was maybe a little unclear, or if there's anything that you are personally struggling with. If you got value out of this, please shoot me a like, a subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.